The soft hum of the filtration system in your office is the only constant companion. It whispers a rhythm to your meticulous movements, a quiet counterpoint to the city's distant rumble. Your fingers, calloused from years of gripping evidence bags and cold steel railings, carefully align the spines of case files on your desk. Each folder, a testament to a life ended, a truth unearthed, finds its precise place. You are Chen, and order is the bedrock of your world, a shield against the chaos you so frequently confront. The scent of aged paper and faint antiseptic clings to the air, a familiar comfort. Your gaze, sharp and unwavering, sweeps over the organized expanse, finding satisfaction in every perfectly stacked report, every sharpened pencil standing sentinel in its holder. This quiet dedication, this pursuit of perfect clarity defines you. Then the shrill intrusion. Your desk phone, a jarring black rectangle against the muted tones of your workspace, erupts. The sound slices through the practiced calm, an urgent summons from the periphery. You lift the receiver, the plastic cool against your ear. Chen Li. Your voice, though calm, carries an edge of immediate readiness. Detective. The dispatcher's voice, usually a steady drone, is taut. We have a priority one. Bayview Docks, slip 7. Yacht, high profile. Victim is Marcus Thorne. The name hangs in the air, heavy with unspoken implications. Marcus Thorne. A titan of industry, a name synonymous with power and impenetrable wealth, now reduced to a victim. Bayview Docks, the exclusive enclave where the city's elite moor their opulent vessels, a place usually immune to the grittier realities you navigate. Your knuckles whiten around the receiver. The methodical rhythm of your morning shatters, replaced by the quickening pulse of an investigation beginning. Details? You press, already rising, your movements fluid despite the sudden jolt. Single GSW to the head. Clean. No signs of struggle from initial reports. Uniforms are securing the scene. The lead investigator is needed immediately. Clean. No struggle. The words resonate with an unsettling precision. A professional hit? You grab your coat, the familiar weight of your sidearm a reassuring presence beneath the fabric. The quiet order of your office recedes as you step into the fluorescent glare of the precinct hallway. Colleagues, heads bent over their own nascent cases, offer you brief, knowing glances. Outside, the city air is thick with the promise of rain. The sky, a bruised canvas of deepening grays, presses down, mirroring the weight settling in your gut. A storm is indeed closing in, not just meteorologically, but in the intricate web of deceit you are about to untangle. The patrol car, driven by a young officer whose face still holds the vestiges of youthful optimism, cuts through the evening traffic. Streetlights blur into streaks of amber and ruby as you speed towards the docks. The city's glittering skyline giving way to the industrial hum of the port. The journey is a mental preparation, a rapid-fire review of protocols, a sharpening of your observational senses. You are not just driving to a crime scene. You are driving into a narrative, a story only you can decipher. As the vehicle rounds the final bend, the Bayview Docks emerge from the encroaching twilight. A stark tableau of flashing blue and red lights paints the scene, casting an eerie glow on the sleek silhouettes of luxury yachts. Uniformed officers, like sentinels, patrol the perimeter, their rain slickers reflecting the pulsating lights. A knot of onlookers, drawn by the macabre spectacle, huddle behind the police tape, their faces a mixture of morbid curiosity and shock. You step out of the car, the salty tang of the sea air biting at your nostrils, mingling with a faint metallic scent you instantly recognize. The wind whips at your coat, tugging at the edges of your composure. A uniformed officer, a burly figure with a grave expression, approaches. Detective Chen Li. Glad you're here. It's a mess. You offer a curt nod, your eyes already scanning past him, towards the focal point. There, bobbing gently in its slip, is a magnificent vessel. Its polished chrome gleams even in the dimming light, a stark contrast to the grim reality unfolding upon its deck. This is it, the yacht at anchor storm closing in, sealed briefcases. As you board the yacht, the polished teak deck feels strangely soft beneath your shoes. The air inside the main cabin is still, heavy with the scent of expensive wood, stale cigar smoke, and something else. The unmistakable, cloying sweetness of fresh blood. Marcus Thorne lies sprawled on the plush carpet of the yacht's salon, a single, precise entry wound marring his temple. His eyes, wide and unseeing, stare at the ornate ceiling. He is dressed in a bespoke suit, perfectly tailored, his silk tie still knotted impeccably. The scene screams of a calculated, almost serene execution. Your gaze drifts, methodical, taking in every detail. On a low, glass-topped table beside Thorne's body, positioned with an almost artistic deliberation, are 3 sealed briefcases. They are locked, clasped shut, their contents a tantalizing silent enigma. The storm outside begins to rumble, a low growl that vibrates through the hull of the yacht, a palpable shift in the atmosphere. Rain starts to patter against the portholes, each drop a tiny drumbeat against the glass, amplifying the tension that coils tightly in your chest. The precision, the lack of struggle, the prominent display of these enigmatic briefcases. They are not just clues. They are a deliberate message, a challenge laid bare. Marcus Thorne's death is merely the first note in a symphony of secrets, and you, Chen Li, are now tasked with conducting its unraveling, even as the storm outside threatens to drown out every truth. The cold, damp air bites at your cheeks as you step onto the gangplank, the wood groaning softly under your weight. Its polished hull, a mirror to the bruised sky, promises luxury, yet the palpable stillness emanating from its deck speaks only of ruin. A colleague, their face a mask of grim efficiency, gestures you forward, the urgency in their eyes a silent command. You cross the threshold, a line drawn between the ordinary world and this gilded cage of death. The air here is thick with the metallic tang of blood, a stark counterpoint to the faint, lingering scent of expensive champagne and saltwater. Your gaze sweeps across the main salon, a space of polished mahogany and plush velvet, now a stage for tragedy. A crystal chandelier, its facets catching the dwindling light, hangs perfectly centered, casting fractured rainbows over the scene below. Nothing seems disturbed, no overturned furniture, no signs of a struggle. This quiet order in the face of violent death strikes you as profoundly unsettling. The victim lies sprawled on a Persian rug, an elderly industrialist known for his shrewd dealings and an even shrewder art collection. His eyes, once sharp and calculating, now stare blankly at the ornate ceiling, reflecting nothing. A single, precise wound mars his impeccably tailored suit jacket, a dark blossom spreading slowly across the crisp white fabric. Nearby, resting against a built-in cabinet, are 3 sealed briefcases. Their leather is rich, their clasps glinting, each one bearing the insignia of a prominent corporate conglomerate. You observe them, their pristine state a silent question. Had they been searched? Were they the target, or merely props in a macabre play? She clutches a cashmere shawl around her, trembling despite the yacht's climate control. Claims she just arrived, came to finalize travel arrangements for the morning. You nod, turning your attention to the 3 individuals now being questioned by a junior officer. They occupy a small, elegant seating area, their postures betraying varying degrees of shock and indignation. A tall, impeccably dressed man, the victim's longtime business partner, nervously adjusts his silk tie. Across from him, a younger woman, a prominent socialite known for her philanthropic endeavors and close ties to the deceased, stares fixedly at her manicured hands. And beside her, a portly, red-faced man, a rival industrialist with a history of contentious dealings, sips from a glass of water with an unsteady hand. You approach the socialite first, her reputation preceding her. He is simply a witness. "You were on board this evening?" You ask, your voice calm, even. She lifts her gaze, her eyes surprisingly dry. "Yes, for a brief gathering. A few drinks, discussion of a charity gala, nothing untoward. We all departed by 10. Her voice is smooth, practiced, yet a flicker of something. Impatience? Fear? Dances in her pupils. "I only just returned, hearing the news. Any recent conflicts you observed?" "He was, himself," she replies, a faint shrug. "Robust, engaged, perhaps a little preoccupied with the deal he was closing. He always was, wasn't he? A true titan." She avoids your gaze, her attention drifting to the sealed briefcases. "He mentioned those, actually. Something about critical documents. Said he wouldn't let them out of his sight." You thank her, then turn to the business partner. He clears his throat, his voice a low rumble. "We had a productive evening. Nothing to suggest. This." He gestures vaguely at the body. "We discussed the upcoming merger." He seemed pleased. No arguments, no raised voices. His eyes, however, dart repeatedly to the briefcases. He was very protective of those. Said they contained the final agreements, too sensitive to be digitalized. "When did you leave?" you ask. "Around 10:30, he states firmly, meeting your gaze. "The socialite, the rival industrialist, myself. We all left together." This is where the first thread unravels. You recall the personal assistant's earlier statement, her claim of having just arrived to finalize morning travel. If the others had all departed at 10:30, why would she be here now, only to discover the body? And her statement implies the victim was alive when he was meant to make travel arrangements, but the others claim he was alive and well when they left at 10:30. A discrepancy, small but sharp. Your attention shifts to the rival industrialist. His face is florid, his movements jerky. "Terrible business, terrible," he mutters, mopping his brow with a silk handkerchief. "We had our differences, yes. Business is cutthroat. But I would never. Never." He looks genuinely distressed, perhaps a little too much so. "I left with the others. We all saw him off, healthy as a horse. He was alive when we departed." "Did you notice anything unusual before you left?" You probe. "Any strangers? Any sounds?" He shakes his head vigorously. No, just us. And the crew, of course, but they keep to themselves. A quiet night. The storm was just beginning to brew. You circle back to the sealed briefcases. "Did anyone approach these during the evening? Touch them?" The socialite interjects, a hint of impatience in her voice. "No, Chen. He kept them close, almost possessively. He said they contained the future of his empire, and that they must remain sealed until the morning's meeting." "Indeed," the business partner adds. "He was quite insistent. Said not even a single fingerprint was to smudge them. Vital documents." Yet, as you subtly shift your position, catching the ambient light, you notice a faint, almost invisible smudge on the topmost briefcase. A thumbprint, indistinct but undeniably present, on the polished leather surface near the clasp. It's a detail easily missed, almost certainly not belonging to the fastidious victim. A detail that contradicts the business partner's claim of not even a single fingerprint. The quiet order of the yacht begins to fray around the edges, revealing the ragged threads of deceit beneath. The pristine briefcases, the coordinated departures, the personal assistant's peculiar timing. Each element, when held up to the light, casts a shadow of doubt. This isn't a simple murder, you deduce. This is a meticulously constructed tableau, designed to mislead. The storm outside, now lashing rain against the yacht's windows, mirrors the tempest brewing within you. This case, you realize, is far from routine. It is a carefully orchestrated deception, and you have just begun to peel back its first layer. The faint smudge, a ghost of a touch, clings to the polished leather of the topmost briefcase. It is not the pristine, gloved imprint of an evidence technician, nor the broad, unthinking press of the victim. No, this is different. A fleeting, almost apologetic mark, as if the hand that left it hesitated, then withdrew. You carefully photograph the anomaly, capturing its subtle defiance against the otherwise sterile scene. Each click of the camera is deliberate, precise, a testament to the meticulousness that defines you. The briefcases, 6 in total, lie undisturbed in their secured rack, their contents a sealed enigma. But this one print, this single, nearly invisible detail, sings a discordant note in the symphony of the crime scene. It is your anchor, your first tangible thread in a web spun from secrets. Back on shore, the wind whips your trench coat around you as you disembark from the tender, the first fat drops of rain splattering against the dock. The urgency of the storm mirrors your own. You bypass the standard chain of command, a quiet urgency guiding your steps. The print needs immediate attention, a bypass of the usual bureaucratic sluggishness that often chokes a nascent lead. You head directly to the forensic lab, a place usually bustling with activity, now eerily quiet in the pre-storm lull. The forensic chief, a man whose eyes held the weary wisdom of countless grim discoveries, raises a brow as you present the magnified image. A print, Chen Li? On a sealed briefcase? He takes the evidence bag containing the briefcase, his movements slow, almost reluctant. This will take time. Priority cases, you understand. You understand the words, but not the tone. Time is a luxury we don't have. This could be a breakthrough. It wasn't the victims. It wasn't the initial responders. He sighs, a sound like sandpaper on wood. Yes, well, the higher-ups are watching this one closely, very closely. Every breakthrough needs to be, shall we say, vetted, thoroughly. But don't expect miracles or speed. A chill, unrelated to the storm's approach, prickles your skin. The air in the lab, usually thick with the scent of chemicals, suddenly feels heavy with unspoken directives. You leave, the promise of the print's analysis feeling less like a certainty and more like a distant hope. Your next stop is the district attorney's office. The victim, a corporate titan, moved in circles where power was both currency and shield. You need access to his business records, his private communications, the labyrinthine network of his influence. The district attorney, a woman with an impeccable coiffure and eyes that missed nothing, greets you with a practiced smile that doesn't quite reach his gaze. Chen Li. A pleasure, as always. About the Sterling case. Her voice is smooth, polished, like the obsidian desk separating you. I need access to Mr. Sterling's corporate files, the private servers, his offshore accounts, and I want a list of all recent high-level meetings, particularly those involving the city council or major development projects. You lay out your demands with a clarity that brooks no argument, though you sense the futility already. She leans back, fingers steepled. Ambitious, but perhaps a touch premature. We're still in the preliminary stages. A crime of this magnitude in this district requires a delicate hand. Rushing in, disturbing delicate alliances. She lets the words hang, a veiled threat in the quiet space. We have multiple agencies involved, Chen. The City Council's Ethics Committee, the federal auditors, even a special advisory board has been convened. Delicate alliances won't solve a murder, you counter, your voice even, though a steel rod of frustration begins to form in your spine. The victim had enemies, powerful ones. Those files will tell us who. Her smile tightens, a hairline crack appearing in the polished facade. And who, precisely, gave you the authority to pursue such an extensive line of inquiry? This is a homicide, Chen, not a corporate espionage investigation. Focus on the direct evidence, the scene, the weapon, not the phantom whispers of boardrooms. The scene points to something far larger than a simple robbery, you state, thinking of the untouched valuables, the specific targeting. And that thumbprint, once identified, will lead us to someone who shouldn't have been there. Interesting. I'll make a note. But for now, access to those files is restricted, pending further review. And as for your list of meetings, that information is highly sensitive. National security implications, you understand? We can't simply open the floodgates. You push, a quiet desperation building. There are no national security implications in a local murder, unless the victim was involved in something far more significant than we're being told. His eyes narrow, losing their practiced warmth entirely. Chen Li, you are an excellent investigator, meticulous, relentless. But there are lines, even for you. This city, these institutions, they are more complex than they appear. Some truths are best left undisturbed. For your own good, I suggest you adhere to the parameters of the investigation. Focus on what is permissible, what is allowed. The words are soft, almost paternal, yet they land with the force of a physical blow. It is not a suggestion, but a command. You are being stonewalled, systematically cut off from the very leads that promise to unravel the truth. The city, it seems, is not just a place of concrete and glass, but a living, breathing entity with its own defenses, its own secrets it fiercely guards. And you, Chen, have just bruised its skin. Your career, Chen, your life. The voice, a low rumble, echoes in the sudden silence of the office, more potent than the storm's initial fury. You stand, unmoving, the cold weight of the words settling deep within your bones. The rain, now a relentless torrent, batters the glass, mirroring the turmoil brewing inside you. The commanding officer's eyes, usually a placid gray, are flint hard, a clear reflection of the system's impenetrable walls. This investigation, the officer continues, is closed. You've overstepped. He was found nothing, understand? A metallic taste coats your tongue. Closed. The word tastes like ash, like a lie you are forced to swallow. You nod, a performative gesture, your jaw tight enough to ache. To argue now is to break. To comply is to find another way. The official papers, neatly stacked, declare the victim's death a tragic, isolated incident. But your gut, a relentless compass, points to a deeper, more insidious truth. The files, sanitized, redacted, scream of unseen hands pulling strings, of information deliberately withheld. Every official channel you push against feels like striking granite, yielding nothing but dull reverberations and veiled threats. The city, usually a vibrant tapestry of noise and light, now seems to hum with a silent, pervasive conspiracy. The air in your small, nondescript apartment is thick with the scent of stale coffee and unaddressed questions. The storm outside has calmed to a persistent drizzle, but the tempest in your mind rages. You retrieve a burner phone from a hidden compartment, its plastic cool against your palm. There is only one number programmed. A single name, unspoken, but etched into your memory. The analyst. No pleasantries, no questions. Just an acknowledgement. You lay out the bare bones, the official stonewalling, the victim's digital footprint, the corporate connections that vanished like smoke. You speak of the anomalies, the missing pieces, the phantom data trails. Hours later, in a forgotten corner of an abandoned factory, the air thick with the metallic tang of rust and damp concrete, you watch over the analyst's shoulder. The space is a labyrinth of disconnected wires and glowing screens, a digital fortress built from scavenged parts. The analyst's fingers, long and agile, dance across a holographic keyboard, a blur of motion. Lines of code, a language you barely comprehend, scroll endlessly, revealing and concealing truths in equal measure. They scrubbed it clean, the analyst murmurs, their eyes, magnified by the screen's glow, fixed on a complex network diagram. Professionals. The analyst works, a surgeon of information, peeling back layers of obfuscation. Then, a breakthrough. A series of coordinates, a timestamp, and a single grainy photograph. The scene is stark, ominous. Rain lashes the deck, and the waves churn violently around the vessel. You lean closer, your breath catching. Not corporate. Something else. Ghost infrastructure. These briefcases, they contain proprietary data, financial projections, schematics for a new energy grid. Stolen. Your gaze remains fixed on the yacht, a phantom ship sailing through a digital storm. The timestamp reveals this meeting occurred mere weeks before the victim's demise. This isn't just corporate espionage. It's a meticulously orchestrated theft, a betrayal on a grand scale. The victim, you realize, must have been a key player or perhaps an inconvenient witness. And these, the analyst says, pulling up another set of files, are the recipients of that data. Illicit transfers, Chen. To shell corporations, untraceable accounts. A network of phantom entities, all converging on a single powerful consortium. The analyst names a conglomerate, a titan of industry whose reach extends into every corner of the city's infrastructure. A name whispered in the same breath as political power. The official roadblocks weren't about incompetence. They were about protection. You weren't just investigating a murder. You were pulling at a thread that threatened to unravel the very fabric of power in the city. The storm outside the abandoned factory, a distant rumble, feels less like a natural phenomenon and more like a warning. You are a ghost in the machine, hunting other ghosts, and the hunt has just begun. The air crackles with unspoken danger, a quiet hum that promises retribution for those who dare to look too closely. You glance at the analyst, their face impassive, illuminated by the glow of the screen. You both know the precarious ground you now tread. The city, a sleeping giant, stirs, and you have just woken it. The digital storm still rages on your screen, a pixelated tempest mirroring the unease settling deep within your marrow. The image pulses with a silent, urgent narrative. Two figures, indistinct in the low light, stand on the deck. Their postures are stiff, almost ceremonial, their hands clasped around identical polished briefcases. A cold certainty blooms in your mind. This isn't merely a meeting. It's a clandestine exchange, a transfer of power veiled by the approaching squall. They gleam with an unnatural sheen, a promise of vital secrets contained within their steel-reinforced shells. You zoom in, pixel by pixel, searching for any telltale detail. The way the figures hold them, with a reverence bordering on fear, speaks volumes. These aren't documents of simple corporate dealings. They are the heart of the matter, the very blueprint of a meticulously planned larceny. This is the crucial data, the stolen essence that sealed the victim's fate. The yacht, a temporary sanctuary, became a stage for betrayal. You pull back from the screen, the room suddenly too quiet, the air thick with unspoken truths. The victim's corporate dealings, once a tangled web, now begin to coalesce around this single pivotal moment. The data exchanged on that rain-slicked deck, you realize, must be the key to unlocking the entire conspiracy. You cross-reference the yacht's registration with known shell corporations, tracing a convoluted path through offshore accounts and phantom directorships. Each click, each query, pulls back another layer of the intricate deception. A name surfaces, then another, familiar from the periphery of the victim's business contacts, yet never directly linked to the murder. They are players in a different game, a high-stakes arena of mergers and acquisitions, but with an undercurrent of something far more sinister. Hours bleed into one another, the glow of the monitor painting your face in shifting hues of blue and gray. A breakthrough shimmers on the edge of comprehension. Deep within an encrypted drive recovered from the victim's hidden office, a drive you had almost dismissed as a dead end. You unearth a sequence of coded messages. They are disguised as mundane financial reports, but your trained eye sees the patterns, the subtle shifts in phrasing, the embedded strings of seemingly random characters. You run the code through a decryption algorithm, a program you've honed over years, capable of peeling back layers of digital camouflage. The screen flickers, then resolves into plain text. It's not a list of names, nor a direct confession. You remember seeing it fleetingly in an old intelligence report, a rumored, highly secretive network involved in illicit data brokering and corporate sabotage, thought to be a ghost story, a myth spun by paranoid executives. But here it is, undeniable, stamped onto the victim's digital footprint. The dates correspond precisely with major, unexplained market fluctuations that benefited a specific conglomerate, a rival of the victim's company. These aren't mere meeting points. They are operational hubs. The victim wasn't just a target. They were a pawn, or perhaps a traitor, caught in the undertow of a conspiracy far grander than simple revenge. They held the key, or were the key, to Oculus's operations. A sudden sharp rap on the window jolts you from your focus. You spin around, heart hammering against your ribs, a primal alarm screaming through your veins. The office is on the 9th floor. There's nothing but a sheer drop outside. Yet, a faint, almost imperceptible scratch mark mars the glass, a crescent etched into the pane, just at eye level. It wasn't there an hour ago. You approach the window slowly, cautiously, your hand instinctively reaching for the firearm holstered beneath your jacket. The city lights twinkle below, a deceptive blanket of normalcy. You peer into the inky blackness, searching for any anomaly, any reflection that shouldn't be there. Nothing. Just the endless, indifferent night. It's too deliberate, too precise to be accidental. This isn't just a case anymore. The investigation has bled beyond the confines of your desk, seeping into the sanctity of your own space. The stakes have just been raised, irrevocably. Your safety, once an unspoken certainty, now hangs by a thread. Oculus. The name, a cold breath on your neck, still lingers, a spectral presence in the quiet of your office. It was a myth, a whispered fear, now solidifying into a monstrous truth. The city, a sleeping beast outside your window, dreams of order, oblivious to the tendrils of this clandestine network tightening its grip. A digital breadcrumb, a fragmented data packet recovered from the victim's encrypted comms, leads you to the docks, where the air tastes of salt and diesel. The sky, a bruised purple, promises a tempest. Your instincts scream, a primal warning, yet a deeper current, the relentless pursuit of truth, pulls you forward. The gangplank sways with the growing chop, an unsteady bridge to an uncertain fate. Below deck, the cabin is a symphony of creaking wood and distant thunder. A single lamp casts an amber glow, illuminating a figure hunched over a low table. The sight of them stills your breath, a sudden icy shock seizing your core. It is the chief investigator, the one whose steady hand had guided you through countless complex cases, whose counsel you had always trusted implicitly. His eyes, usually sharp and reassuring, now hold a guarded flicker, a calculating glint you've never seen. Spread before him are 3 sleek, black-sealed briefcases, their latches gleaming under the lamp's glow. You feel the tremor of the yacht as a larger wave slaps against its hull, mimicking the tremor in your own resolve. "Neither did I expect you," you reply, your voice a tightly wound wire. Your gaze sweeps from his face to the open briefcase, then to the 2 still closed ones. Oculus, you state, the name a accusation. He offers no denial, only a slow, deliberate sigh. Some battles, he begins, his eyes now fixed on yours, are not fought on the streets, Chen. Compromises. His hand moves, subtly, towards the open briefcase. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a revelation, brutal and absolute. You notice a faint metallic glint at his waist, the familiar outline of a concealed weapon. Your hand instinctively goes to your own. "It's more complicated than you know," he insists, his voice gaining an edge. "You're out of your depth, Chen. This network, it's everywhere. You can't fight it." He gestures to the data chip. This is just a fraction of what they control. There's no escaping it, only navigating it. Your eyes narrow, fixed on that tiny chip, a crucial piece of evidence pulsating with the secrets of Oculus. You need it. You must have it. But how? This man, your mentor, is now an adversary, formidable and desperate. Give me the chip, you demand, your voice cutting through the rising crescendo of the storm. A humorless smile touches his lips. And what then, Chen? You expose me? You expose the network? And then what? Do you truly believe you can dismantle something this vast, this deeply rooted without consequences? For yourself? The yacht lurches violently, throwing you off balance. For a fleeting second, the chief investigator reaches for the chip. But in that same moment, a surge of adrenaline sharpens your reflexes. You lunge, not for him, but for the table, your hand sweeping across the polished surface, seizing the tiny data chip. He reacts instantly, his own hand clamping down on your wrist, a grip of surprising strength. The implication is staggering. You twist, pulling your wrist free, the chip clenched tight in your palm. You stumble back, the chip burning in your hand, a heavy, precious burden. The chief investigator stands, his posture rigid, his eyes locked on you, a profound sense of loss and isolation washing over you. The man you knew is gone, replaced by a stranger entwined with a monstrous web. You have the evidence, a vital link to Oculus, but the cost is immeasurable. The storm outside rages, mirroring the tempest within your soul, leaving you adrift in a sea of betrayal. The chief investigator's eyes, once a familiar compass in the professional tempest, now fix upon you with a profound, chilling blend of sorrow and resolve. The yacht groans under the assault of the rising storm, a leviathan of polished wood and steel caught in a sudden, violent embrace. Rain, thick as thrown gravel, lashes against the portholes, and the wind howls a furious premonitory song. The chip, a sliver of cold fire, remains clutched in your palm. The information you've been gathering, it's been misinterpreted, or worse, manipulated. A sudden lurch sends you stumbling, your hand instinctively bracing against a bulkhead. The chief investigator remains rooted, his gaze unyielding. A warrant has been issued. Your breath catches, a ragged gasp. Arrest? For what? The question forms silently, a desperate, unspoken plea, but the chief investigator's expression offers no solace, only a grim confirmation. Evidence has surfaced, he continues, his voice devoid of its usual warmth, linking you directly to the manipulation of key financial records, records tied to the victim's corporate dealings. Records that were supposedly secured by you, Chen. Funds redirected, accounts emptied. You, Chen Li, the meticulous, the unyielding, framed for embezzlement, for a betrayal of trust that cuts deeper than any physical wound. It's a lie, you articulate, the words rough, torn from your throat. Your grip on the chip tightens, its edges biting into your skin, a grounding pain amidst the surreal horror. You know it's a lie. I've been chasing the truth, uncovering their connections, not fabricating them. The chief investigator shakes his head slowly, a gesture heavy with regret. The evidence is compelling, Chen. Too compelling. The official report states that a significant portion of the victim's offshore assets were siphoned using access codes traced to your personal network. A network, ironically, you yourself established for secure communications. He pauses, his eyes flickering to the sealed briefcases. These briefcases contain the original ledgers. They were supposed to be retrieved, secured, but your presence here, it complicates things. A new tremor courses through the yacht, a deeper shudder that speaks of the storm's growing fury. The chief investigator moves, a swift, decisive motion, stepping towards the briefcases. His hand hovers over the first, a silent signal of intent. The order came from high above, They want you contained. Your gaze darts to the cabin door, then to the churning, inky waters beyond the portholes. Escape feels impossible, a fool's hope against the elements and the looming threat of the law. Yet remaining means surrendering to a fiction that will bury you alive. A faint, distant thrumming permeates the yacht's hull, growing steadily louder. The chief investigator's head snaps up, his eyes widening. He knows that sound. A patrol cutter. They are already here. "You have to understand, Chen," he says, his voice edged with a strange, desperate urgency. "I have my orders, my duty." Duty. The word hangs heavy, twisted into a weapon. The chief investigator reaches for the first briefcase, his fingers moving to unlock it. This is it, the point of no return. You cannot allow him to secure the briefcases, not when they might hold the very keys to your vindication or further evidence of your framing. Your mind races, a whirlwind of fragmented thoughts. The chip in your hand, a tiny beacon of potential truth. The storm, a brutal ally or a deadly foe. The approaching cutter, a net closing in. In that fleeting moment, a stark clarity descends upon you. He is not the orchestrator, but a pawn, forced into this position, perhaps under duress himself. This realization, a bitter revelation, solidifies your resolve. You glance at the cabin door, then at a heavy emergency axe mounted on the wall. The cutter's thrumming is now a resonant vibration throughout the yacht. Time is a rapidly draining hourglass. You make your move. A sudden, desperate lunge, not at the chief investigator, but past him, towards the briefcases. Your hand slams down, not to grab, but to scatter. You sweep them from the table, sending them skittering across the slick, rocking floor. One slides towards the chief investigator, the other, impossibly, towards the open, storm-lashed deck door, which had been left ajar by the crew's hasty retreat earlier. The chief investigator curses, turning, his attention momentarily diverted by the briefcases. He lunges for the one closest to him, securing it with a desperate grab. You don't hesitate. The chip still clutched in your hand, you dive. A desperate scramble across the heaving floor, ignoring the chief investigator's shout. You hold on, your body half in, half out, the storm's fury tearing at your clothes, the salt spray stinging your eyes. The chief investigator, now holding the first briefcase, stands frozen, watching you, a silent witness to your defiance. You hear the distant shouts, the barking orders carried on the wind. They are here, for you. With a final, desperate surge of adrenaline, you pull yourself back, the heavy, water-slicked briefcase now firmly in your grasp. But you know you cannot stay. This yacht is a trap. The storm calls to you, a treacherous, chaotic promise of escape. You are running on empty, Chen Li, but the truth, hidden within this heavy burden, demands your next breath, your next desperate step into the raging night. The chief investigator's gaze, sharp as fractured glass, locks onto yours. His fingers, calloused from years of gripping truth and twisting it, hover over the first clasp. The metallic click he seeks would echo the sealing of your fate, the final turn of a key in a lock you cannot pick. This moment, suspended between the chief investigator's will and your desperate defiance, stretches taut as a violin string. A tremor, not from the deepening storm, rattles your bones. Outside, the sky weeps in sheets, lashing the yacht at anchor. The vessel groans, a living thing protesting the tempest's cruel embrace. Rain, thick as thrown gravel, hammers the deck above, drowning out the insidious hum of the ship's engines. He doesn't wait for your reply, his eyes fixed on the gleaming latch. These documents, once secured, will ensure order. Order. You know the word is a shroud, a convenient lie draped over the sprawling rot beneath. Your hand, independent of conscious thought, darts forward, not for the briefcases, but for the chief investigator's wrist. Your grip is iron, unexpected. He tries to pull back, a growl rumbling in his throat. You hold fast, your gaze unyielding. The storm outside intensifies, a furious crescendo. The yacht lurches violently, throwing both of you off balance. The chief investigator stumbles, his hand momentarily leaving the briefcase. In that split second, your other hand sweeps across the table, snagging the smaller, less conspicuous briefcase. The one you've suspected holds the real venom. Its weight is significant, a promise of damning evidence. "Chen!" he bellows, regaining his footing, fury contorting his features. He lunges, but you are already moving, a shadow against the shifting light. The briefcases clatter, one remaining, the other clutched tight to your chest. You burst through the cabin door, the storm's fury a physical blow. The deck is a slick, treacherous expanse. Wind tears at your clothes, rain blinds you, but the adrenaline is a fire, burning away doubt. The chief investigator's shouts are lost to the gale. You scramble across the deck, the cold spray a shocking slap to your face. The gangplank, swaying precariously, is your only exit. Each step is a gamble, the dark water churning below, a hungry maw. You leap onto the dock, landing hard, the briefcase digging into your ribs. Your feet pound the rain-slicked concrete, the yacht receding into the storm's gray curtain, its lights blurring into distorted smears. You are a fugitive now. The city's vast, unforgiving sprawl your only sanctuary, your only hunting ground. The briefcase, a heavy anchor of truth, is your sole companion. You find temporary refuge in a disused shipping container, its corrugated steel a poor shield against the howling wind and relentless rain. There are no stacks of paper, no bulky files. Instead, nestled within a custom-fitted foam insert, lies a single sleek data chip, smaller than your thumb. Beside it, a folded square of aged parchment, its edges worn, secured with a wax seal bearing an unfamiliar, intricate crest. You crack the seal, the wax crumbling delicately. The parchment reveals a series of seemingly random numbers and letters, a cipher masquerading as an address, followed by a single stark word: Kronos. Your mind races, connecting the dots. Kronos. It's a name you've heard whispered in the periphery of the victim's life, a mythical entity often dismissed as a corporate legend. The data chip, you deduce, must contain the key to unlocking Kronos. Or perhaps Kronos is the archive itself. The cipher, you realize, isn't an address, but a set of coordinates, overlaid with a date that is tonight. The urgency of your situation intensifies, a visceral ache in your gut. Hours later, navigating the city's underbelly, you arrive at the coordinates. They lead to the industrial district's forgotten edge, where skeletal remains of abandoned factories loom against the bruised sky. The rain has subsided, leaving the air heavy with the smell of damp earth and rust. One structure, larger and more dilapidated than the rest, draws your eye. Its windows are shattered, its brickwork crumbling, a monument to forgotten industry. This is it. This must be Kronos. You find a hidden entrance, a steel door camouflaged by overgrown ivy and rust, its hinges protesting with a mournful shriek as you force it open. Following the faint numerical indicators etched into the grime-caked walls, matching the cipher's sequence, you descend. The hum of distant, unseen machinery begins to vibrate through the soles of your shoes. You pass through a reinforced vault door, its thick steel groaning open at the touch of the data chip, which doubles as a sophisticated keycard. Inside, the air is clean, climate-controlled, a stark contrast to the decay above. This is no mere factory floor. This is an underground bunker, meticulously preserved. Row upon row of servers hum softly, their indicator lights blinking like watchful eyes. This is the hidden data archive. This is Kronos. You insert the data chip into a console, its screen flickering to life, displaying a login prompt. The worn parchment from the briefcase, its cryptic letters, now make sense. Your fingers fly across the holographic keyboard, inputting the sequence. The screen explodes with information. Names, dates, transactions, shell corporations, clandestine meetings, encrypted communications. A tidal wave of incriminating data. The victim's murder, once an isolated incident, now appears as a single, meticulously placed domino in a vast, intricate scheme. Corporate espionage bleeding into political corruption, influencing legislative decisions, manipulating markets, and silencing dissent. The scope is breathtaking, horrifying. Then you see it. A recurring name, not on a ledger, but as the architect, the signatory, the ultimate beneficiary of every major illicit operation. It's a name that has always stood for integrity, for public service, for unwavering leadership. The chief investigator. Not merely a pawn, but the spider at the center of the web, pulling every string, orchestrating every betrayal. His order was his own reign, built on a foundation of lies and blood. The man who sat across from you on the yacht, who spoke of duty and order, is the true mastermind. You download everything, your fingers moving with feverish urgency, a single unwavering thought burning in your mind. Expose him. The city, your city, is not safe as long as he breathes free. The storm outside may have calmed, but within you, a different kind of tempest rages, a storm of righteous fury. You have the truth. Now you must make them see it. Your grip on his wrist is a vice, cold and unyielding, a direct challenge to the unspoken hierarchy between you. He glances at the sealed briefcases resting on the polished table, then back at you, a dawning comprehension chilling his features. He knows you know. The meaning you articulate, each word a stone dropped into a still pond, is that you were heading to a meeting. A very specific meeting, on a very specific vessel, with very specific cargo. Your eyes flick to the briefcases, their innocuous leather exteriors belying the volatile secrets within, and you weren't planning to report back. A bead of sweat traces a path down his temple, despite the cool air conditioning. You're overstepping, Chen. These are sensitive operational matters. Sensitive enough to warrant a midnight rendezvous on a yacht? You counter, your voice gaining an edge. Sensitive enough to ignore protocol. To bypass every official channel. To carry the very evidence that could unravel this entire conspiracy directly to its architect. You lean in closer. I know about the storm closing in. And I know you're not going alone. Not anymore. His resistance falters. He sees the unwavering conviction in your eyes, the precise knowledge of your words. You have him, not just by the wrist, but by the throat of his carefully constructed deception. He sighs, a sound like deflating hope. What do you want, Chen? Justice, you state simply, and the truth, laid bare for all to see. You will take me to that yacht. You will proceed as planned. But this time, the script changes. The sky above is a bruised purple canvas, bruised and swollen, promising an imminent deluge. The air grows heavy, electric, charged with the approaching storm and the dangerous gamble you are about to undertake. The chief investigator, now a silent, unwilling accomplice, drives with a grim set to his jaw, the briefcases secured in the trunk. You arrive at the marina, a skeleton of masts swaying against the turbulent sky. The wind whips your hair, tugging at your coat, a physical manifestation of the rising stakes. The gangway sways, a precarious bridge to your fate. On board, the rocking of the deck beneath your feet is a constant, unsettling rhythm. The cabin, sumptuously appointed yet eerily silent, feels like a velvet-lined cage. The chief investigator, his face pale in the dim glow of the yacht's interior lights, places the two sealed briefcases on a polished mahogany table. Their presence is a magnet, drawing your gaze, their contents the fulcrum upon which your world is about to pivot. They expect a handover, he mutters, his voice low, almost swallowed by the groan of the yacht against its mooring lines. The data from the corporate servers, the schematics for the new energy grid, the final damning pieces to secure their control. You examine the briefcases, running a gloved finger over the cold metal clasps. And what if they don't get them? He flinches, his eyes wide. Chen, you don't understand the reach of these people. The organization isn't just a corporate entity. It's a hydra. You cut off one head, two more grow back. It's about exposing the source, about drawing the mastermind out into the open, where the storm can wash away their carefully constructed lies. You pull a small, discreet device from your inner pocket, attaching it to the underside of the table. A tiny lens, almost invisible, capable of streaming live. We're going to give them a show. And we're going to make sure the right people are watching. You look at the chief investigator, your gaze piercing. You will play your part. You will act precisely as you were instructed. But when the time comes, you will open the briefcases, and you will show them exactly what we want them to see. He swallows hard, his Adam's apple bobbing. Fear, stark and raw, flickers in his eyes. He is trapped, caught between your iron will and the unseen threat of the organization. The choice is no longer his. The minutes stretch, taut and agonizing. The storm outside intensifies, the yacht pitching and yawing with growing violence. Rain lashes against the portholes, a percussive drumbeat against the rising tension. Then, a flicker. A distant light cutting through the gloom. A smaller, faster vessel battling the furious waves, heading straight for the yacht. Your breath catches, a silent acknowledgement of the imminent confrontation. This is it. The trap is sprung. The figure steps onto the gangway, sure-footed, their face obscured by the hood and the driving rain, but their posture radiating an unsettling confidence. As they climb onto the deck, the chief investigator visibly stiffens. Your hand instinctively goes to the concealed weapon at your hip. The figure moves with an unnerving grace, their silhouette framed by the roiling sky. They push back their hood, and the face that emerges is not one you recognize from any file, any photograph, any suspect list. This is the moment. The reveal. Your trap, now fully sprung. What will the enforcer do when they discover the deception? What will the briefcases truly contain? The storm outside rages, mirroring the tempest about to break within the confines of the yacht, the truth poised to spill from the opened briefcases like a torrent. The yacht, a dark silhouette against the roiling sky, pitched gently with the nascent fury of the storm. Rain, a percussive symphony, began its assault on the deck, each drop a tiny hammer blow against the polished wood. Inside the main cabin, the air hung thick and heavy, charged with an unspoken promise of violence. His fingers, skeletal and pale, tremble. The sound of the metal clicks, a sharp metallic echo in the suffocating quiet. Your gaze, however, is not on the chief investigator, nor on the briefcases themselves. It is fixed, unwavering, on the mastermind. The mastermind, a figure of composed menace, stands opposite you, a predatory calm in their eyes. They lean slightly forward, an almost imperceptible shift, but you catch it. The anticipation, a hungry beast stirring within them, is almost palpable. They expect a treasure, a weapon, a final piece of their twisted game. The chief investigator exhales, a shaky breath, and lifts the lid. Inside, nestled on a bed of dark velvet, is not the ledger they anticipated, not the encrypted drive they craved, nor the stacks of crisp currency. It is a single, intricately carved wooden bird, its wings spread as if in silent flight, its eyes made of polished obsidian. Nothing more. A flicker crosses the mastermind's face. Not confusion, but a dawning, terrible comprehension. The predatory calm shatters. Their eyes narrow. the obsidian depths reflecting the stark white of the cabin lights. A low growl, like the distant rumble of the storm, vibrates in their chest. What is this deception? The mastermind's voice, usually a silken threat, is now a ragged blade, edged with venom. You step forward, the floorboards groaning faintly beneath your weight. The truth you always sought to bury beneath layers of corporate greed and political corruption. Again, no documents, no data. Only another wooden bird, identical to the first. Then the third, the fourth, the fifth. Each briefcase, a mirror reflecting the mastermind's mounting fury, holds nothing but these silent wooden sentinels. You expected the evidence, didn't you? You press, your voice gaining momentum, a relentless tide. The very evidence I allowed you to believe was contained within these cases, waiting to be stolen, waiting to be destroyed. A meticulously crafted illusion, designed to bring you here, to this isolated vessel as the storm gathered. The mastermind's jaw tightens, a muscle twitching in their cheek. You fool, you have nothing. There is no proof. Oh, but there is, you counter, a ghost of a smile touching your lips. The briefcases themselves were never the repository of proof. They were merely the bait. That evidence was already disseminated hours ago. To every relevant authority, to every trusted journalist, to every corner of the city you sought to control. The mastermind lunges, a sudden desperate blur of motion. Not towards you, but towards the chief investigator, a wild, unthinking animal trapped in a cage. You anticipate it. Your hand shoots out, catching their wrist with surprising strength, the impact jarring your bones. The mastermind snarls, their eyes now truly feral, their face contorted in a mask of pure, unadulterated rage. You cannot stop what is already in motion, you tell them, your grip unyielding. Your empire, built on lies and fear, is crumbling even now. The storm outside is merely a prelude to the tempest that will engulf your world. A guttural cry escapes the mastermind's throat. They twist, pulling against your hold with surprising force. The yacht lurches violently as a rogue wave slams against its hull, throwing you both off balance. The chief investigator stumbles back, hitting the bulkhead with a gasp. The mastermind, seizing the moment of disequilibrium, tears free from your grasp. They scramble toward the cabin door, desperation etched into every line of their body. Their escape, a final futile gesture. It's over, you state, your voice cutting through the howl of the wind and rain. They pause at the threshold, their hand on the cold metal of the handle, their back to you. You think this is over, Chen Li? They sneer, their voice laced with a bitter triumph you don't yet comprehend. You have merely opened a new chapter, one you will regret. Before you can react, before you can take another step, they throw open the door and vanish into the torrential downpour, swallowed instantly by the black maw of the storm. You stand there, alone in the rocking cabin, the chief investigator gasping for air against the bulkhead. The wooden birds in the briefcases stare up at you, silent witnesses. The mastermind is gone, their immediate capture thwarted by their desperate flight and the encroaching tempest. Justice, a fragile, elusive bird, has taken flight, but its wings are still vulnerable. You have exposed the truth, shattered an empire, but the cost. The reckoning has begun, but it is far from complete. You have won this battle, but the war, you realize, has only just truly begun. The storm outside mirrors the one now brewing within you, and within the city itself. The wind, a banshee's shriek, tore at your clothes, chilling you to the bone, but a colder dread settled deeper, a recognition of the precipice you now occupied. You were alone, truly, with the storm and the vast, indifferent ocean. The briefcases, heavy with the city's poisoned truths, were your only companions. You did not falter. The determination that had guided you through shadows now propelled you through the tempest. The yacht pitched and groaned, a wounded leviathan. Your fingers, numb and stiff, wrestled with the mooring lines, a desperate, silent battle against the elements. The escape, a blur of instinct and sheer will, left you gasping, clinging to a treacherous barnacle-encrusted buoy. The yacht, a phantom receding into the storm's embrace. Each wave that crashed over you was a baptism, washing away the last vestiges of doubt, hardening your resolve. Hours bled into a brutal dawn. The storm, though still raging, had lost some of its primal fury. You were found, half-drowned and hypothermic, by a Coast Guard patrol vessel, a beacon of harsh light cutting through the gray. They saw not a victim, but a survivor, clutching the two waterlogged but still sealed briefcases as if they were your very lifeblood. The return to the city was a maelstrom of flashing lights and urgent voices. You were whisked from the dock, the biting sea air still clinging to your clothes, to a sterile, brightly lit interrogation room. Your soaked, salt-encrusted uniform was peeled away, replaced by the scratch of a standard-issue blanket. Your body ached with a profound, bone-deep exhaustion, yet your mind, sharp and unyielding, raced. The briefcases, now resting on a cold metal table, became the focal point of the room. A high-ranking official, their face etched with a mixture of awe and trepidation, gently cut the seals. What unfolded was not a mere discovery. It was an earthquake. The contents of those briefcases, meticulously collated by the conspirators themselves, laid bare a tapestry of corruption so vast, so intricate, that it defied immediate comprehension. Corporate titans, prominent political figures, even high-ranking law enforcement officials, their complicity was undeniable. Their greed laid bare for all to see. It was a cancer, metastasizing through the city's veins, finally exposed. The immediate aftermath was a cacophony. News channels blared headlines of unprecedented scandal. Digital screens across the city flashed images of the evidence, the faces of the accused, and, inevitably, your own. You, Chen, became both a reluctant hero and a lightning rod for public scrutiny. Every decision you had made, every step you had taken, was dissected, debated, and often distorted. Your apartment, once a sanctuary, transformed into a fortress against the relentless media siege. The ringing of your phone became a constant jarring intrusion. A colleague, their voice strained, expressed concern, offering guarded support. Another, a veteran investigator, met your gaze with a weary understanding, a shared burden of seeing the city's underbelly ripped open. The department became a hive of activity, a crucible of internal investigations and public relations nightmares. You were debriefed endlessly, your testimony forming the bedrock of 100 legal battles. Yet through it all, you remained steadfast. The truth, however ugly, was now free. The city, once shrouded in a comfortable, deceptive haze, now grappled with its own profound reflections. Protests erupted, demanding justice. Reform commissions were hastily formed. The very foundations of trust had been shattered, and the slow, painful process of rebuilding began. Weeks turned into months. The initial frenzy subsided, replaced by a simmering undercurrent of unease. Many of the key figures implicated were apprehended, their empires crumbling, their reputations in tatters. Its tendrils were deep, its roots intertwined with the very fabric of the city. Your career, though salvaged, bore the scars of the ordeal. The quiet meticulousness that defined you was now tinged with a hardened resolve, a deeper understanding of the fragility of justice. You found solace in the methodical work, the pursuit of smaller, clearer truths, while the city slowly, painstakingly began to heal. But the echoes of the conspiracy lingered, in the wary eyes of citizens, in the cautious pronouncements of new officials, in the subtle shifts of power that hinted at battles yet to be fought.